Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Again, welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit in current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you, and you can reach out to me directly. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we are celebrating today. We celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio, and there's a lot to celebrate today. Today is National Cinnamon Crescent Day. Beating anorexia, cinnamon crescent sounds like something good to me. Although, I'm trying to lose a little bit of baggage. National Alcohol Screening Day. Does that mean we screen it to see if it's good or bad, or if we like it or don't like it? Probably not. That's probably not what they had in mind with this one. Let's see. National Siblings Day. Okay, I can get behind that one. I can get on board there. Golf Day, a tradition like any other. If you are into watching golf, my family laughs at me because I turn on the golf and somewhat fall asleep fairly soon thereafter. So they're generally laughing at me when I turn on that. And it is National Hug Your Dog Day, but I think that's every day. So, I got a little Aussie doodle. We thought she was going to be a bit bigger than she is, but, as they say in I don't know where they would say it, but they say it somewhere.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. Now, let's take a look at the markets. Holy cow, we're going back the wrong way again. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down 1,700 points.
Ow!
S&P 500 down 278. NASDAQ is down 1,000. Oil down 260 a barrel. The big news of the day, the CPI numbers came out today. So let's talk a little bit about misleading information that comes from the media. So I'm looking at a report that came across the wires earlier today, and it says Dallas Fed President Lori Logan was speaking today. This came across on CNBC, and her comment was higher tariffs would boost unemployment and inflation. Really? Now, the challenge is the Federal Reserve presidents and governors, none of them have ever had a real job. They've worked in academia, real life. They've worked in academia. They've worked at the Federal Reserve and government, whatever, but they haven't lived. So right now, there was a correction that went across the wire because apparently maybe CNBC must have had it wrong. I don't know. But the White House reached out to CNBC and said U.S. tariffs on China now total 145% after the latest hike. Does it matter? So here's the issue. And apparently Ms. Logan hasn't figured this part out. If you get, number one, if you get to tariffs of 145%, You can go to 145, you can go to 200, you can go to 300. They're probably at that point meaningless because U.S. importers are not buying from China at a 145% tariff. They're either not going to buy the item or they're going to find it somewhere else. So at 145, they're not buying. At 200, they're not buying. At 300, they're not buying. It doesn't matter. They're not buying. Now, let's go to so at that point, it's not inflationary. Now, if you lose your job, and I hope you don't, but if a person loses their job, are they going to Walmart to buy some cheap toys or plastics or other items that we would call discretionary items you don't have to have today? No, you're just not going to buy those items. You're going to do without because you don't have a job. You're budgeting your money. Now, would that be inflationary then? No. Now, you also look at it, and if you listen to Ron Siegel Radio, on a regular basis, we are reporting the gas prices. Now, CPI came out, and the White House came out and said, well, the reason CPI was stronger than expected was because of the benefit in energy prices. So let's take a look. One of the biggest energy prices is obviously gasoline. Today, we're at $3.22 a gallon. That's the national average of a gallon of gasoline. If we look a month ago, it was $3.08. Doesn't sound like that's going to help on the inflation numbers. What is helping? Well, food products are coming down in price. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, because we do watch this, that when I just mentioned to you a little bit ago that oil prices are now $59.60 a barrel, that's going to have an impact on energy, on gas prices a month or two from now. So when the next CPI numbers come out, the energy prices are going to show much better than they are today, simply because the numbers are going to be reflected. Now let's take a look also. I know we don't like to look at California gas prices. Believe it or not, our gas prices are down from a year ago. $4.93 today. A year ago, we were at $5.39. So maybe we can get excited about that. I don't know. But, we're still leading the country with the highest gas prices in the United States. Josh, you seen Nevada gas prices coming down at all there? Not coming down in Nevada either. I wonder where the White House did their channel checks. What's a channel check? Well, basically, it's a term that they use in finance. When you just go out and you hit the street, you can get all these different reports coming in, and the reports will say what the reports will say. But when you hit the street and you go and you say, hey, Mr. America, Mrs. America, hey, Josh, what are you seeing? That's called a channel check. When you walk out at the holiday time and you walk into a mall and you see a lot of people walking around and you say, do they have bags with them? Okay, that means they're shopping. If they're walking around and they have no bags, no shopping. That's just the way it works. They're spending money. Now, it is a little bit more difficult right now just because you can buy so much stuff online. But go to I guess right now we're in Little League season. Go to I think it's Little League season. You go to the Little League field and see if there's a bunch of people with a bunch of new stuff or they were walking around with old stuff. New stuff means they're shopping. Old stuff means they're not. Just throw that out there for you. Those are channel checks. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, why you don't want to skip your home inspection, how to avoid lifestyle inflation. That'll be our Borrow Smart segment. The truth about newly built homes and today's market. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452. You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990 every day at this time. I'm sorry, the Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And every day at this time, OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They do not tell us points paid, points received, or the APR. They only tell us the number. You need to put in your mortgage calculator to find out exactly what your principal and interest payment will be. If you don't have a mortgage calculator, go get one. It's free. rsrlinks.com/mobile app. rsrlinks.com/mobile app. Rates yesterday, 30-year conventional, 30-year fixed, conventional 30-year fixed. 6.825. Jumbo 30-year fixed, 6.928. FHA 30-year fixed, 6.496. VA 30-year fixed, 6.476. USDA 30-year fixed, 6.548. Every single one of them was up. Ouch. That's not what we want to hear. Now, let's take a look and see what, if you want our market thoughts each and every business day morning, as early as the data allows, we do send out a report with our market thoughts. rsrlinks.com/market minute is where you can go and get that data. rsrlinks.com/market minute. Let's see what the markets are doing today. We've got the 10-year treasury right now. That one there, if my screen would, oh, wait a second. I forgot to tell you. Let's see what the markets are doing. S&P is now down 279. I think that's pretty much about where it was when we spoke a little bit earlier. The Dow is down 1797, and the NASDAQ is down 1,027. What's driving all this? The 10-year treasury, that's up 2 basis points, 4.369. The mortgage-backed security recovered a little bit. It's down 22 basis points. It was worse off earlier. It's doing a little bit better, but it's still, when that goes down, that means interest rates are up. Why is all of this happening? Well, it's basically, we got this the CPI report, and it came out, and it's odd to report like the CPI is irrelevant. And to be fair, traders were still paying some attention, but the trading response in general makes it clear that the current focus is elsewhere. In fact, the absence of any lasting response to this morning's data is nothing less than surprising, considering just how low the CPI numbers were. The only way to reconcile the paradoxical reaction is with the knowledge that this CPI report is a look back to a simpler time when prices had yet to be impacted by tariffs. It's not that traders are 100% sure that tariffs will cause inflation to surge. Rather, it's the uncertainty of the tariff impact that makes this report less actionable. That's the whole idea right there, is we're just not taking any action on it because we don't exactly know what to act on. Right? I mean, you look at that report and it came out really strong. We look at the core CPI for the month of March, forecasted of 0.3%, came in at 0.1. Headline CPI for March, forecast was to go up 0.1. It went down 0.1. The headline CPI for March, it came in, was expected 2.6. It had been 2.8. It went all the way down to 2.4. Great number. And the core year over year was at 3.1, came in at 2.8. Every one of those numbers would generally be a strong market mover. But right now, when you listen to the market, listen on the business channels, you hear company after company basically saying, we don't know what's happening. We're not going to keep giving you guidance. And when the companies won't give guidance, the market sees uncertainty. And I've shared this with you over and over again for the last 15 years that we've been doing this broadcast, that the markets hate uncertainty. They want to know an idea of what's going on going into the future. And when they have all this chaos coming out of the White House, uncertainty, you would have expected that the market would have reacted positively when the Congress, the House of Representatives, passed the budget framework bill. Now, it's not a reconciliation bill yet, but basically they've said, okay, we like the framework that the Senate put forth, and we can get behind that. Now they go into a reconciliation committee, and they see what's going on there, and that's the story of it. So the bottom line here is we just look at these numbers and say there's not enough clarity to really understand where we're heading with this, and we're going to continue to just stay on the sidelines. That's what the markets look at, and just throw that out there for you. They just don't like what we're seeing out of Washington, and we know that the president watches these markets. He's always on there. So I'm sure we'll see a little bit more stability going forward. We know that we've got to, he's already told us we've got to accept some of this pain that's going on. But I forecast that we'll see a little bit more calm coming through. That is the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make that call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. So I wanted to chat with you a little bit today because we've talked about this off and on. We have the markets going in these massive swings, and we've yet to see swings this big. And I shared with some family members. I don't give financial advice now. I used to when I was at Merrill Lynch, but I shared with some family members that, when the markets are down as far as they were recently, it's a good time to start thinking about buying, not selling. It's the time to think, should I be buying at these points? And that doesn't mean go hog wild. What you do is you, as they say, nibble at certain holdings, because we look at them and we say, okay, the markets are down dramatically again today. They were up dramatically yesterday. We haven't given back everything that we gained yesterday yet. But the bottom line here is you look at some of these things and you say, if you have cash, you nibble. Now, seniors or those who are living on fixed income or living on investments, they're nervous. And I get it. They look at these markets and they say, what are we going to do? We were down at 37.6 on the 8th of April. We were up at 40,600. So it's a 3,000 point swing in 2 days. You look at that and it's very, very nerve wracking. And if you don't need to look at your 401k, if you're not retiring soon, why would you? If you don't need to look at your investment account, why would you? But as a certified liability advisor, it's my job to make sure we level out this swing. And there are some stats that the financial advisors have. I don't have them, but there are some sheets that financial advisors have that will show if you don't sell into these bad markets, if you have ways of living off of other sources during these challenging markets, your portfolio is gonna go way, way beyond anything anybody else accomplishes. It's also going to go ahead and it's going to give you peace of mind. You can sleep at night. So how do we deal with that? Well, one of the biggest sources of income that you have, or one of the biggest sources of revenue that you have, or assets, is something that we call the third leg of your balance sheet. And for those of you that are accountants out there, I know you're looking right now and you're saying, has this guy lost his marbles? There's the asset side, there's a liability side. And assets minus liabilities equals equity. No, I haven't lost my marbles. What's the third side? It's one that actually fits. And we kind of look at it as a triangle. The third side of the balance sheet is real estate, because it is both an asset and it's a liability for the vast majority of us. Okay, so if that's the case, what are we doing? So many people put their mortgage, especially now, it's set it and forget it. I have a 3% mortgage, Ron. I'm never, ever going to change that. And I look at you and say, what are you doing?
I got a bad feeling about this.
That 3% mortgage will kill you. And I think we did a program on that. I think we called it, I don't know if I still have it anymore. It's at rsrlinks.com / Josh, see if this works. rsrlinks.com/3PCT. rsrlinks.com/3PCT. We did a show on why that 3% mortgage will kill you, because you did set it and forget it. You sat there and you just watched it. And Josh says, yeah, it's working. rsrlinks.com/3PCT. You set it and forget it. Now, you've got all kinds of equity. You should either be looking at gethomeselect.com, gethomeselect.com. So you have access to your equity. If you don't qualify for that, or don't want to take the time to learn it because it's not your traditional mortgage, even though it looks like it, feels like it, doesn't act like it. So you get homeselect.com, or you get a home equity line of credit. Why? Because we want to look at ways of minimizing that the roller coaster effect. We want to take and look and say, okay, how do we use some of that equity instead of cashing out a stock today when we might not want to? Our goal would be use some home equity. When the stocks go up, and historically they always have, well, then we sell what we want to, not have to, and we go back in and we just we pay back that equity line. It's a real simple process. So we're just using some of that home equity for strategic purposes. And when I say strategic purposes, that's our whole goal, is to be able to sell when we want to instead of when we have to. And we go in there and we're using that equity because we still want to eat. We still want to live indoors. So think about that. We're going to talk more about that when we come back. We'll also talk a little bit about those debt consolidation loans from Geneva Financial. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets, why you don't want to skip your home inspection, how to avoid lifestyle inflation. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio. or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Why you don't want to skip your home inspection. When you finally find the home you want to buy, it's easy to get caught up in the excitement. You've toured the place, imagined your future in it, maybe even pictured your morning coffee on the porch. The last thing you want is to slow down the process with more steps or lose out to another buyer's offer because they skipped their inspection. But here's the thing, buying a home is one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make. And no matter how perfect that house seems, skipping a home inspection is a risk that could cost you a lot more than just time. What exactly is a home inspection? A home inspection gives you a detailed look at the home's condition, usually after your offer is accepted, but before closing. While what's covered varies by state, an inspector usually goes over the home's major systems and structure, including things like the roof, foundation, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, and more. Why an inspection is worth it. Here's a quick rundown of some of the biggest benefits of getting an inspection. Helps you avoid unpleasant surprises. A house might seem move-in ready, but could have issues you didn't see during your walkthrough. Knowing about these before closing day is important. That way you have a better idea of what work may need to be done to the home. Gives you negotiating power depending upon what the inspection turns up. You may want to renegotiate with the seller. For that, lean on your agent. With their help, you can ask the seller to handle repairs before closing day or provide a credit so you can take care of them yourself. It offers you peace of mind. Buying a home is emotional, especially if you've been searching for a while. An inspection helps take some of the uncertainty off your plate so you can move forward with confidence. A few $100 up front for the home inspection could save you thousands in surprise repairs later. As the National Association of Realtors, NAR, says, quote, failure to obtain a home inspection could potentially cost you a great deal of money and hassles in the long run, unquote. Why you don't want to waive your inspection. According to the latest data from NAR, nearly 1 in 4 buyers are waiving or removing the inspection contingency when they buy a home. And with spring break being peak home buying season and buyer activity already heating up, you may be thinking about doing that yourself. As Realtor.com points out, quote, if you're in a hot real estate market where homes are getting multiple offers, there might be a temptation to skip an inspection when you really want the house. However, waiving an inspection comes with a sizable risks, unquote. But skipping the inspection is a gamble that doesn't necessarily pay off. Just remember, there are other ways to make your offer attractive to sellers, like being flexible with the closing date. Before making an offer, talk to your agent about other ways to get a seller's attention without sacrificing your peace of mind. Bottom line, even if skipping an inspection sounds like a way to make your offer more competitive or speed things up, it's risky. It's not just extra time and documentation. It's a smart step that protects your wallet, your investment, and your future. If you could ask a home inspector one question before buying, what would it be? Let me know and I'll make sure it's the first thing we bring up when we're chatting with our home inspector friend, Jeff Clark. He comes on, I think he was on a couple of weeks ago, chatting with us about home inspections. Give me a call. I can put you in touch with Jeff. I can put you in touch with great real estate agents. Anywhere in the sound of my voice, that is the real-time real estate segment, brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Let's see. I think we got time for another real-time real estate segment. Real-time real estate brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. The truth about newly built homes and today's market. Headlines are talking about the inventory of new homes and how we're back at the levels not seen since 2009. And maybe you're reading that and thinking, oh no, here we go again. That's because you remember the housing crash of the late 2000s and you're worried we're repeating the same mistakes. But before you let that fear take hold, remember, headlines are designed to be clickbait. And a lot of the time, they do more to terrify than clarify. That's because they don't always give you all the context you need. So let's take a deep a step back and look at what the data really says. Why this isn't like 2008. While it's true the number of new homes on the market has reached its highest level since 2009, that's not cause for alarm. Here's the context that matters most. When the data is turned into a graphic, it's clear the amount seen in 2009 wasn't the peak of oversupply, not even close. That point came early in 2007 to 2008. If anything, 2009 was when the number of new homes being built was really starting to slide back down. If you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk, AM 1490, FM 98.1 video feed, you are seeing a chart that shows the number of new homes on the market reached its highest level since 2009. The overbuilding that contributed to the housing crash happened in the years leading up to 2008, not in 2009. At that point, construction was already slowing down. So saying we've hit 2009 levels isn't the same thing as saying we're overbuilding like we did the last time. Builders have actually underbuilt for over a decade. Here's some more data to prove that to you. After the crash, builders pulled production way back. As a result, they built far fewer homes than the market needed. And that was a consistent problem that lasted for over a decade. The long stretch of underbuilding created a major housing shortage, which is still a challenge today. The next graph uses census data to show the number of homes built each year over the past 52 years. You can clearly see the overbuilding led up to the crash. That's the red lines in there. In the period of underbuilding that followed in orange, and how we're only now getting back to a more normal level of construction. In a recent article, Odetta Cushy, Deputy Chief Economist at First American, highlights this deficit and speaks to why the recent ramp up in construction is actually good for today's market, especially buyers. Quote, "This means more homes on the market and more options for home buyers, which is good news for a housing market that has been underbuilt for over a decade," unquote. Of course, like anything else in real estate, the level of supply and demand will vary by market. Some markets may have more newly built homes, some less, but nationally, there's nothing to worry about. This isn't like the last time. And remember, we've talked to you about this many, many times, how we need 1.9 million new homes every year. We're building about 1.3 million, and that's 600,000 short. Bottom line, no matter what you're reading or seeing, the growing number of newly built homes on the market is not a red flag nationally. It's a sign builders are starting to make up for the years of underbuilding. If you want to talk about it, give me a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. That's the Real-Time Real Estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. So let's go back and continue our conversation. We were talking about debt consolidation and why that 3% loan is killing you. rsrlinks.com/3pct. rsrlinks.com/3pct. Yes, even though we're seeing massive fluctuations in the bond market right now, we're still seeing the fact that that it doesn't matter for you. The interest rates are going to come down. When, I don't know, but they're going to come down. The Federal Reserve historically has been behind the curve. I think they're behind the curve again. I constantly tell you what I think of the Federal Reserve.
Such an idiot.
And I prove it to you all the time when I show you commentary like this Lori Logan, who thinks that people that are unemployed are going to go out and buy discretionary products, causing inflation. Ain't going to happen. But here's the issue. Right now, the interest rates are what they are. And I showed you yesterday exactly how to make the interest rates whatever you want them to be. If you want them to be 4%, I showed you how to do that. If you want them to be 5%, I showed you how to do that too. If you want them to be 6%, okay, we show you how to do that. It's not that difficult, and you're in 100% control of that. But what you need to look at is what is your blended household interest rate? And we have a calculator for that. We take and look at what is the weighted average of all of your debts. And you can do this real simple. It takes about, I would say 30 seconds if you're a slow typist to go into rsrlinks.com/Sora. rsrlinks.com/Sora. It's a mini app. We're going to pull a soft credit pull. So it doesn't affect your credit scores. It's a soft pull. And when we do that, we take a look and we say, okay, here's what and we get a copy of your mortgage statement. The credit there doesn't give us exact numbers, but it gives us numbers that we can talk about and see, does it make sense for us to look at the market of what's available to you? Because what's more important to you? And I ask this with all true sincerity. Are you more interested in what is your interest rate, that 3% rate that's killing you? Or are you more interested in your cash flow, the dollars you have in your pocket? I'm going to submit cash flow is more important than any of it. Well, what if you could change your 3% loan into a 7% loan and save $1,000 a month on cash flow? Because we consolidate the debt. And then you take half that $1,000 a month savings and start applying that to the new loan. And your 30-year loan is paid off in 22, 23, 24 years. We can tell you exactly, but that'll also show you how it minimizes your interest expense, not your interest rate. People are way too worried about the interest rate, and it doesn't matter. Interest expense is what matters. In fact, Josh, I got to do a show about that. Send me a message. Remind me of that one, please, if you would. It's not interest rate, it's interest expense. Now, you're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, we're going to talk about how to avoid lifestyle inflation. We might even talk about removing your mortgage insurance. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990 or ronsiegelradio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Borrow Smart segment today being brought to you by GetHomeselect.com. GetHomeselect.com. How to avoid lifestyle inflation and build real wealth with every raise. Ron Siegel Radio, your trusted source for honest answers in real estate finance and retirement planning. I'm Ron Siegel. Today we're diving into a powerful concept that could shape your financial future, especially if your income is on the rise. Let me start with a simple truth. As your income grows, so often do your expenses. It's one of life's curious habits. We work hard, we earn more, and then we spend more. Now, on the surface, that seems harmless enough, right? You get a raise or a promotion, and suddenly those upgrades you've been thinking about feel more reasonable. A nicer car, a remodel, maybe that upgraded vacation package. But let me ask you, is all that spending really necessary? Here's something that might surprise you. Studies have shown that money tends to bring us happiness only when it enhances our social standing. In other words, we feel more satisfied when our lifestyle keeps pace or ideally surpasses our peers. Let's talk about the Joneses. You know the ones. They just remodeled their kitchen and living room. Now countertops, sleek cabinets, recessed lighting. The works. Looks great. And now you're thinking, maybe it's time we do the same. But let's take a step back before you pick up that contractor's quote. Let's run some quick numbers. Let's say you decide not to spend that $50,000 on renovations today. Instead, you invest it, earning a hypothetical 6% annual return. That $50,000 doesn't just sit there, it grows. In 20 years, you're not looking at the same 50 grand, you're looking at over $160,000. Let that sink in for a moment. You can finally have a freshly remodeled kitchen today, or you could have an asset that could fund a second home, support your retirement, or help your kids through college 20 years from now. This isn't just about delaying gratification. It's about understanding opportunity cost. Every dollar you spend today is a dollar that could have been working for you. Compounding, growing, quietly building wealth while the rest of the neighborhood tries to keep up. Let's give that concept a name. It's called lifestyle inflation. It happens when every raise leads to more spending instead of more saving or investing. And over time, lifestyle inflation can be the silent killer of wealth. Think of it this way. If every increase in your income gets absorbed into your lifestyle, then your wealth never truly grows. Your balance sheet might stay flat even as your paycheck gets fatter. And when it's time to retire, you may find that you spent the gains instead of building legacy. But here's the good news. It doesn't have to be that way. At Ron Siegel Radio, we talk a lot about the idea of strategic debt management. And this ties in perfectly because growing your income is only part of the picture. The real magic happens when you intentionally manage your liabilities and align them with your long-term financial goals. This is where the role of a Certified Liability Advisor, a CLA, comes in. A CLA doesn't just look at your mortgage rate or your monthly payment. We help families build wealth by looking at the entire financial picture, your liabilities, your cash flow, your home equity, your future plans. We ask, quote, what if you could keep your lifestyle steady and let the difference go to work for you? It's not about living small, it's about living smart. You see, smart borrowing can actually create wealth when managed properly. Your mortgage isn't a burden, it's a tool. It's a hedge against inflation. It can be a tax-advantaged asset. And when it's aligned with disciplined savings, it becomes part of your broader financial strategy that supports your lifestyle both today and tomorrow. Here's what I encourage every homeowner or aspiring homeowner to do. Next time your income increases, don't just think about what you can spend. Ask yourself, what would my future self want me to do with this opportunity? Because that's what every raise is, an opportunity. An opportunity to accelerate your wealth journey, to build security, to create flexibility, and yes, eventually to enjoy more of life, not just now, but later. Let's not forget what really matters. It's not the countertops or the car that brings peace of mind. It's the confidence of knowing you're making smart, sustainable decisions for you and your family. So before you remodel to match the Joneses, consider investing to retire ahead of them. If this message resonates with you, if you're ready to look beyond the moment and build lasting wealth for your future, then I invite you to reach out. I am a Certified Liability Advisor, and I help families build wealth through strategic debt management. Let's talk about your current cash flow. Let's review your mortgage. Let's make sure you're not unknowingly letting lifestyle inflation eat away at your future wealth. Because keeping up with the Joneses may feel good today, but building a legacy that outlasts your lifestyle, that's the kind of wealth that truly matters. I am a Certified Liability Advisor helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Call me today, and let's create a plan that supports your goals, not just for today, but for decades to come. That is the Borrow Smart segment, brought to you by GetHomeselect.com. GetHomeselect.com. So let's talk quickly about mortgage insurance. A lot of folks have had mortgage insurance over the last several years, but you've also gained a lot in home equity. It may be time to take a look at that. Just do us a liability review. And you know our best way of starting that liability review is in conjunction with our friends over at Sora. Go to rsrlinks.com /SORA, S-O-R-A, rsrlinks.com/SORA. And it's a 30-second mini app. You don't even have to pull any documents. You know everything that's on there. It's not a trick questions. We're going to let you know. We're going to actually even do a soft credit pull on your behalf, cost you nothing and doesn't affect your credit score. We're going to look at all those liabilities. We're going to take a look and see. We also ask you to send us a copy of your most recent mortgage statement. We'll take a look, say, okay, does it make sense? And I'm going to tell you, I am not one of those people that says mortgage insurance is bad. There's a lot of folks out there that hammer mortgage insurance. They're always on saying, oh, you can't have mortgage insurance. It's horrible. Worst thing in the world. No, it got you in the game. What do I care about? Cash flow. Can we all say it together? Cash flow, right? Cash flow is the important part, because if you have a 3% mortgage and 0.5%, and I'm just throwing out a number, I know it's probably not 0.5%, but 0.5% in mortgage insurance, you've got an all-in number of 3.5. Okay, today's rates are higher than that. So if you just look at that alone, you might say, okay, let's stay where we are. But we look at the whole picture. We look at the cash flow. What other liabilities do you have? Does it make sense? Maybe we just want to say, okay, let's throw an extra $100 a month at your mortgage. Maybe that makes sense. Maybe we're going to say, call our buddy Shane and look at a life insurance policy that makes sense. That one or Steven, either one of them do great jobs with life insurance, right? So let's talk to one of them. Maybe that makes sense for you. I'm just saying that you got to look at these things. Don't do the set it and forget it that so many people do. They look and they say, okay, I got a 3% mortgage. I'm not going to ever look at it again. Wonderful. You just cost your future self a lot of money. And costing, what does that future self mean? That means the Ron of 10 years from now or 20 years from now. Or if you're half my age, maybe it means the Mitchell of 30 years from now, right? Those are the issues right there. That's your future self. And if you're not looking out for your future self, I'm saying live your current lifestyle. But if you can take a look at your fixed expenses and find a way to save just 2%, that can be a multi-million-dollar decision for your future self. Think about it. rsrlinks.com/Sora mini app. And as always, I ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990 or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. I'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.